Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's Friday with Dannphan and Adam.
Hey.
He's coming back for another Friday stream with us. How's everyone doing this Friday? I guess there's some news this week, vaguely.
363 is first again.
Always first. The battle. 69th with Jamie Rose. Ooh. It's a tight race. I know one piece of news that people have been talking about is the Marvels trailer. I have not seen it, but it sounds horrific. It sounds like one of the movies that should have been canceled.
Is it related to like Marvel comics?
Oh yeah, it's yeah. It's like they're trying to do this thing where they have a movie with different versions of Miss Marvel. So like Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan.
Kamala? What?
You don't remember Kamala Khan?
Is there a black Miss Marvel?
She's Muslim.
Oh, okay.
Did you miss that? I thought you knew about that.
Oh, is that the stretchy person?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not.
She's Miss Marvel.
That's not Miss Marvel. That's
completely different powers.
That just completely. That completely left my head.
Lazy costume.
It's a shirt. Okay. Yeah, no, that left my head, and it should have left my head. You shouldn't have brought that back in?
Oh, I had to explain.
I have a very good memory, and it's a curse because now I'll remember terrible characters more.
Yeah, they didn't do a very good job with Kamala Khan. It's funny, the TV show went out on the Disney Plus streaming service, and I didn't hear anything about it. So I can only assume it was not even worth making fun of. It was just bland. Which sounds about right. The comics were pretty awful.
I remember when the biggest thing to critique was them trying to make Captain Boomerang a scary character. in Arrow. That was very funny.
If you could do that, that would be very impressive.
They called him like Harkness or something, right? That's his like civilian name. I was like, where the fuck do I know that name? And like I was watching it with my brother. I was like, no, I know that's a character. I feel like it's cheating to look it up. And then he throws something. I'm like, oh no.
And it comes back.
No, it didn't, because that would be too goofy.
Okay.
But then I was like,
that would
I was like, Brian, you know what he threw, right? You know what he threw. And Brian's like, no, he threw a knife. And I was like, no, that's a boomerang. That's Captain Boomerang. I looked it up and I was like, yeah, that's fucking Captain Boomerang.
Oh man, that's so weird.
And I made my brother pause the show and I showed him like some cartoon movie where he's like, Captain Boomerang, yeah? I'm like he's like he sends like a boomerang like with a TV on it or something. I think it was like the Flashpoint paradox or something like that. But yeah, now my brother still says like Captain Boomerang, yeah.
Oh god, that's so goofy.
That's his
thanks for the donation, Maverick. The Marvels looks like a good trailer for little girls who like Lizzie McGuire reruns.
Oh, fuck.
You know what? That sounds about right, though. That's
like a archaic burn. I can't even quite remember who Lizzie McGuire is.
I vaguely remember Lizzie McGuire. Yeah. It was one of those things that I only really enjoyed because it had like some cartoon in it. But that wasn't all of it, of course. I don't remember anything about it, except that sometimes they had little cartoon skits in between the movie. I used to hate
live action stuff when I was very little. Like Jackie Chan Adventures, I hated when it was Jackie Chan in the beginning. I wanted cartoon Jackie Chan.
Yeah. I was kind of the same. Even though I liked Jackie Chan, it wasn't like he was even the problem. It's just that I wanted a cartoon to be a cartoon. You know, I wanted some consistency.
Yeah, the mixing was kind of weird.
Yeah, they could do better with it. And there are definitely other examples of them doing very good with mixing, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Mary Poppins. Those are good like mixes of cartoon and live action. But they kind of lean into the idea that, oh, this is a cartoon that we're interacting with. While as everything else is just like skits.
Hey, Trent.
What do y'all think of the new Pepsi logo? I can't even begin to comprehend what that could be in reference to. There's a new Pepsi logo.
I assume they just swapped it for like a...
Swapped it for some sort of inclusive flag.
Yeah.
That's... Hang on. Pepsi logo.
You know what's also kind of news? I don't know if you like talk about video game stuff, but
go for it.
The Total War thing was kind of interesting.
Where's the new logo? That's it. Looks exactly the same, only with different text. Oh, I guess they did do something weird with the colors.
Well, I mean, they went back to the sort of original, but...
Yeah. That's not good text.
Yeah, that's
terrible text to use.
That's not the font I would use. Although I guess Pepsi's always had horrible fonts, now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So wait a second, hold on.
What?
Enhance. I
can't enhance anymore.
Oh, well, you should really upgrade your computer.
Shut up.
Is that a registered trademark over just Pep and not C?
Yeah, you can see it over here.
Oh, what?
They just put it in weird spots.
Okay, well, I want to take them to court and take...
no register over here, though. Yeah, I guess we can steal this new one.
Yeah, I want to take control of C, of Pep, and then sell it back to them. It's my strategy.
Yeah, it's less complicated and more retro, but with a strange subliminal thing representing a commitment to zero sugar. How do you figure? What part of that logo did that? It just seems like they're using blocky text and the original logo.
Diet Pepsi, I think, is black, right? So then if they're adding darker colors...
I thought it was gray. Or is that just Diet Coke is gray?
Pepsi Zero.
Pepsi Zero is black.
Is it Coke Zero? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. I think they have a zero sugar version that's black, I think.
The black colored text, apparently. Oh, yeah? Okay. Black means no sugar, Adam.
Yes.
Don't you know the color codings? Yeah. Anyway. Oh, sad news about the pirate campaign, by the way.
Oh, yeah, the update, I fucked the thing to death.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's just
fuck
like
the thing to death.
Yeah. Steam... The Steam Workshop is... man, so like, if they update the game, some games you can just go offline and play and it won't bother you. But with like Total War, even if you go offline, they're like, no, you have to go online and update. It's like, well, I don't wanna. But, so then you have to update the game. You can roll it back in like the betas tab, but then the workshop, you're subscribed to stuff. And so it'll automatically update your mods to update them for newer versions of the game. So then even if you roll back your game, you can't roll back mods unless you like ask the specific mod creator to like send it to you. And I was like a really responsible mod user and had like 70 mods that didn't even matter for the campaign that all changed scripts. So because I just didn't want to have to, because the mod manager's terrible, it is what it is. So yeah, it's
I gotta say, as soon as I heard your phone ringing, a little tinge of panic. I'm like, oh god, is that song copyrighted? That would be a really funny way to get struck during stream, as if like your ringtone is a copyrighted song. That would actually that would peeve me, but
That's the oh man, that would be crazy trivia if anyone knew what that song was. But anyway, news with like Total War, Warhammer, they
that ringtone brought me back to the early 2000s. There you go.
Maybe, yeah, you're probably close. I don't know. They, with the latest update, they took out Russian as a language as like a sanction against Russia and the Russia-Ukraine war thing. But like, which is a That's pretty crazy because it's literally like a race targeted it's a specific, well, not race, I guess it's an ethnicity targeted like sanction, because it's like any Russians living anywhere who only speak Russian would be affected. Also, Ukrainians are affected because they didn't add like Ukrainian as a language, so a lot of but a lot of Ukrainians can speak Russian because it's similar. I think anyway. I mean, like I saw a Ukrainian complaining that he couldn't understand the game now in like pretty broke ass English. And then like the one like Ukrainian guy that I was like buddies with in college, he was like he could speak Russian. He was like, it's like the same. He said it was like the same thing. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So I can't speak shit.
That's a really dumb response.
Yeah, and then there's
like, we're helping by how?
Yeah, and then there's all these like weird like people commenting that are like they come up with like really terrible arguments for like why it's a good idea. Like, not that there's no good arguments for like sanctioning, but it's just for sanctioning by the language thing. It feels grimy because whenever you get an update that takes a feature out of a game and you can't say no to the update, it feels really shitty.
Oh yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Because if you leave your Steam offline, you're fine. But if you ever connect to online, that game is going to say, oh, you can't launch it unless you update it, unless you have some kind of workaround that I don't know. So like, kind of the majority of like basic bitch like game players are going to be kind of stuck unless they go and pirate the game, which is also outside of the basic bitch kind of realm.
I mean, that's kind of what happens. You still want to play the game, but you know, the developers are just being mean to your kind for no reason other than like association.
Yeah.
Just popped in. What did I miss? Lies only. Adam, lie. Quick.
Oh,
Spider-Man was here.
Yes.
You missed it.
We were just talking about Fall Guys.
Expert liar. All right, so in campaign news, we're at 3K. Woo! That's big. Yeah, 60% through. Only a little bit left to go until we like reach the goal.
It's also something.
What?
This as when you were clicking to the other tab, I was just like thinking about this comment. That's why I was like distracted. It's just fun. It's the third game has a faction based on Russia, which is like makes it more funny that they took Russian as a language.
Yeah, of course.
Apparently, Russians are like 10% of their player base too. Sorry, yeah, I was just like ADD'd.
No.
But yeah, campaign.
Ah, it's so cool.
Refresh it.
We just got here.
Okay, but then don't refresh it.
Well, anyway. So today, I guess the last couple days, I've been mostly working on some like extra rendering for the pages, and we've been editing some dialogue. I've been adding in like the sound effects, lettering.
It looks really good.
Yeah, I still have a couple pages to like do, but we're still trying to figure out like what we want to do for those pages. So, you know, bit by bit.
Yeah. It's crazy how, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess you didn't finish adding detail to the previous like draft, but like, it's crazy how much better it looks, you know?
That's good. That is the goal overall, to improve my art rather than getting worse.
Because I haven't been like really like looking at the updated art so much, because I don't know. But then recently I was going over the text with the updated art and not just like the sketches, and it's like kind of like when I go to the next page, it's like this like, I don't know, it's like shock or whatever. Like, it's good, you know.
It's good. Overall positive feedback. Hell yeah. And yeah, I'm still kind of brainstorming ways to get like new fans on board for backing the campaign and hopefully future campaigns. Obviously, I did the video Wednesday doing the comic process video, which we had talked about in another stream about me doing more like videos talking about me making my comics. It did pretty poorly though, I gotta say. The video did not really pick up steam. So
you should do bubble trimming ASMR.
What?
Where you like, remember the word bubbles? Where you like,
yeah. I'm sure that nobody cares about that either. Adam really likes to watch me do the word bubbles. He says it's very satisfying watching me get it like just right.
It's like, well, we'll make a text change, so we'll reduce the amount of words in a text bubble, and so the text bubble has to get smaller. And then just how she does it with like the art program, where it's like you're just like kind of trimming aside, but then it like makes it rounded after you cut it. It's like, I don't know.
There are a lot of I guess weird art ASMRs that are just like satisfying to watch. It's part of the reason why I guess people like to watch speed paints and speed draws. It's just because you're watching something that's really rough get cleaned up and until it looks like super good.
There's also like it's like there's a lot of strange ASMRs. There's Dark Souls ASMR. I was trying to figure out how to get through an area, and like the only video is like someone's ASMR.
Because it's such a perfect run, or
no, it's just like this British boy whispering to you like Vati Vidya, but it's not Vati Vidya, it's just some other British boy, some other soft-spoken British boy who's just like, and now I'm going to go over here by the gaping dragon. It's like,
that's a really funny video.
All right,
that's
man.
A funny idea.
And I thought maybe it was a joke or like April Fool's or whatever, and then I saw they had like hundreds of hours of Dark Souls gameplay where they're whispering over it, and it's like
whatever works. I will do Dark Souls ASMR if you want it.
They must have had it like highly promoted too, because it's having like a LAN party where we're all like playing, I don't know, it was maybe Dark Souls 2 or something, or Dark Souls 3 maybe, I don't know, but someone else at the party was like, man, I found this is weird. I found a walk. Oh, okay. Like, I'm in a different area.
Yeah. Let's see. There was a time when they tried to be sexy, topical, and soothing, like Lindy Black Widow with the Infinity Gauntlet. I have no idea. But interesting facts. So yeah, if you guys have any general thoughts, I'm all for focus grouping for new ideas on how to get new fans on board. And yeah, I guess in general I'll be trying like new things on the channel, just to throw some stuff out there and see what sticks. I did do another webtoon read through recently, so that's something. just because I know that other webtoon read throughs have done a-okay, so I know that it's more so safe. But you know, Adam, do you have any ideas?
I'm trying to think desperately. I don't know.
I just want to make sure that I'm still engaging with you, so you don't forget that you're here.
top 10 anime characters.
Top 10 anime betrayals
that would lose in a fight to Mario riding Sonic.
Mario riding Sonic?
Yeah.
You mean like race riding, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What kind of riding are you thinking about?
Nothing. I don't have a dirty mind.
I guess that was yeah, okay.
Okay. Everyone like riding. Oh my god.
Yeah, like a horse, because he's so fast.
Yeah, of course. A horse is a horse, of course, of course.
Is there just, I guess there's something just like intrinsically about Sonic that just leads it to be like fun because of all the furry stuff.
I mean, there's that like infamous Mario Sonic gif where they like both make out. Oh, you didn't know that one?
No, I don't know if it's that famous.
It's pretty. People like meme the first frame of it before like the making out happens.
Okay.
So you might have seen that and just blocked the rest from your mind.
I don't.
It's like really crude drawings, so it's more so silly than like sexual, but you know. Top 10 hottest Sonic females reaction. Oh yeah, do we still have to react to that? We could do that for game fans though, since it's game related. Cream's mom. She's kind of hot.
No, she's human sized, which is very cool. Allegedly very is the quote. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a good quote, man. I'd love to see Dannphan Death Battle ideas. Lately, Death Battle itself has gotten bland and predictable. Well, Death Battle kind of always was just...
Yeah, it was kind of bad. I mean, they always pick the person that should have lost as the person who wins, just to make people... Or they would have logic that's like completely irrational. Like, Peach wins in a fight because in Mario Tennis, her tennis ball lights on fire, but like...
That was so ridiculous.
Probably everyone's does, right? And it's like... So in like Mario Golf... I think like Donkey Kong has a rainbow when he gets like a perfect shot or something. So it's like, what can Donkey Kong hit something so hard that it splits light? Like,
yeah. Another thing that bothered me about the death battles is like, basically, from what I remember watching, at least, I don't know what they're like now because I stopped watching, obviously. But all of their fights started like dropping in quality significantly to the point where they would almost exclusively always do sprite battles.
Yeah, they were like,
and they weren't very good sprite battles either. Like I've seen other sprite battles that looked better than like the ones that Death Battle were putting out.
There's just something like intrinsically cringy about like an old like Flash animation like violent thing where they kill each other at the end. It's just something like, it just brings me back to like the olden days of like flashplayer.com before, you know, like before it was like Yugo Player and stuff. There's like people having the stick battles where they're killing each other and like cutting each other's heads off. It's like there's just something like old school cringe about that.
Yeah,
it's interesting to debate like what character would win.
Sure.
In like certain scenarios.
I've seen like other channels do the death battle angle better. Like what was that one channel that used to do the like live action death battle things where they got dressed up, and those were actually pretty good. And even if you didn't like the ending, they always had the alternative ending where the other person wins.
They started doing alternative endings later.
Yeah, but that was also a good idea.
There was
because they're fairly easy to do an alternative ending where the other guy wins. You know,
there was one where it paused and you could click which one, and if you left it, it would like.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate that too. But for the most part, the first video they would put up, it would be on a vote based on like who you voted for to win.
Incredibly easy to cheat on the votes, by the way.
Of course.
I was just like curious, if you clear your browsing history, you can vote again.
Yeah, figures.
So it's like you don't have to be a big genius to do it, you know?
Yeah, but it's also like, who cares if you're going to get the other ending regardless.
Right. I think it just makes the most sense to just kind of like open up the debate and then like, because you like
have people debate in the comments.
Yeah, just open up the debate and like talk about the different angles, and like, you know, if you divide it into like different points, it might be more interesting for people to like argue a specific angle of the fight.
Oh, Bat in the Sun? That's the one? Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
Those death battles were genuinely pretty fun.
Yeah.
and much higher quality than the sprite battles. But Death Battle was like always getting way more views, because I guess because they're the way that they're doing theirs is like cheaper, so they can just like pump out more videos and keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, like I could give a shit who wins between Princess Peach and like Princess Zelda, but it's like you have to like have some amount of self-awareness. If you're like, oh well, if they hit the tennis ball that hard, that means it's like going at this like ridiculous speed. And it's like, yeah, but you're showing me a clip where it like lobs, like it's floating, and then they hit it.
Yeah, it's like going so slow.
Then they hit it like right back to you. So it's like, like. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like an automatic win when you hit the tennis ball and light it on fire.
Right. So their assertion was that she would hit her so hard that she would like de-atomize and just like be disintegrated by a peach slap. It's like, if that was the case, then don't you think it's odd that like Bowser wins all the time and like captures her? Like,
you could just as easily argue that she has like a trick badminton net that like can light things on fire.
Or maybe you don't count Mario Tennis as
canon. Or maybe you don't count Mario
like,
Tennis, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't designed to be canon for her fighting abilities. I don't know. Because you could, I don't know. Like you could definitely dig up some kind of like ridiculous thing for like Zelda. It's like, oh well, she's in a game where like everything takes up one square, so she's as big as a mountain. Like she's it's like, you can see clearly. Here in the original game you see a tree takes up the same space, and then if you click the description it's like, oh, it's a very tall oak, so tall you can't even see. So if she's the same size,
if she's so tall you can't even see.
And then it's like, oh, if Zelda moves in this clip, she moves across the squares like at this speed. That means that she can cross, like, since mountains are the same scale, she can cross, like, it's like if you're looking at a Fire Emblem character where they're like, they move one square in a turn. It's like, oh, well, that's the same size as a mountain range. It's like, oh, well, clearly they can move at Mach 52.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah, Death Battle is a glorified nerd gladiator fights. Even now, they're losing ideas on what to make as fights. Makes sense. They did Saitama versus Popeye. Ah, boy. I remember the Raven versus
the robot from
No, they did a My Little Pony character.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't watch that video, but as soon as I saw that in my recommend, I was like, oh god, I gotta unsubscribe to these people.
I saw that there was there's a Transformer versus a pony thing. And I know people at my college were like watching that and like they were just so happy. I don't know what was wrong with them, but the robot lost, I think, but obviously it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like they
always have the ponies win,
right? And there was some character from that, like, was it Ruby or whatever? She punches someone up for like comedic relief and then says stuff, and they're like, oh, well, if she can punch them up that high, then like, that means she punched them like into the stratosphere. It's like, yeah, but
whatever you say.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, it's kind of obvious that they would have their own characters win. They own Ruby, so because it's all part of the Rooster Teeth thing. Basically, that's just like a huge humble brag to be like, oh, these characters are so strong, you should totally watch Ruby. Because they're so much stronger than these other characters. So cool. Look how cool they are. We're going to explain how cool they are to you. Beat all these other characters up. Please watch our show.
Yeah.
But whatevers. Hey, we got some new fan art.
Yee. It's honestly crazy.
Let me do this because that'll be easier. There's my Twitter. And there's the fan art.
It's
done
so
by
crazy.
Christy MK96. Drew some illustrations of Vera. Look how cute. Chico. She cute.
Isn't that crazy? I can't believe, like...
Yeah, people like your characters, Adam. And then there's me. Yeah. I'm holding Horizon Quest, which you should back, by the way.
Yeah. You look like Bayonetta.
I kind of do, I guess. or like around that same like art style of stuff like Bayonetta. Vera looks very cute, though. I like how they did her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good.
Super cute. They made her eyes like galaxies.
Ah, yes. You gotta have them galaxy eyes. Otherwise, what are you even doing with your life, you know? Yeah. But yeah, good stuff. Always great to get some fan art, guys. Always very highly appreciated.
Yes, super like wild. I don't know. I don't know how you're like used to this stuff. Like famous, super talented people are like drawing characters. It's like
I'm very grateful. I feel very blessed every single time I get a little piece of fan art, because it's like it helps solidify like the comics that you've done, you know, knowing that other people like them and then like your art and like your character ideas. Very nice.
I was gonna say blessed, but then I was like, man.
Yeah, that's more of a
people are gonna make fun of me.
Your baby is a hit, Chatham. That's a good one. Let's see. How about rating viewer art? That's something you could do. I don't know if I should do that. I feel like that would cause some upsetty spaghetti things. I mean, like, I know other YouTubers do that, mostly like art-centric YouTubers, where like their whole thing is doing tutorials.
Yeah.
I've never really done an art tutorial, and I feel like I'd be bad at like teaching art, because there's still a lot of stuff that I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could give you some tips and tricks every now and then, but I wouldn't really be able to give you very good advice if I could.
I feel like it's easier if you have like a persona where you're like a mean guy and you're like critiquing the art. Like you were watching some guy who's like, haha, I'm so cool and mean.
Yeah, I know.
And I make fun of art. Yeah.
I've got a microphone attached to this knife that I'm pointing at you.
Yeah, it's like, I guess that's like an easier position to be in, but like you're just you, so it's like
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people who especially send me their comics, and they always want me to review their comics like as a video or something. Sometimes, you know, they just want like someone to give them some opinion on it because they have trouble getting any opinion on their comics, any objective opinion at least. And I'm always like willing to put aside a little bit of time to like tell them what I think about it. But making a whole video on that is a bit much, I guess, especially now that videos cost me a good bit of money altogether, and I know that nobody's going to really watch a review of a super obscure indie comic that may not be very good. And yeah, all in all, though, part of the reason why I don't really want to do any more reviews on a lot of indie comics that are sent to me are just because I know that they're not good, and I kind of get the feeling like I don't know this person. I don't know how they'll respond to me saying they're not good. You know?
Yeah. It's like taking criticism is a skill, and like a lot of people don't have it.
Yeah. It can be pretty brutal. Dannphan needs a fidget toy. Well, this is my fidget toy for now. I do what I can with what I got. You know what sounds like a great crossover between internet historian and Dannphan in the field? Yeah, I'll hit him up. Let's see if we can get something going. Hey, internet historian, would you like to cover comics with me? Comics. What are comics? Yeah. I'm sure he has friends that he usually contacts. It's very weird for sure to get contacted by someone you don't know and they want to do like a video with you. And you know, like I said before, you know, videos costing money to make. You might be like, I don't like you that much. I don't know who you are. Oh yes, Gordon Ramsay, that fan art. It's rubbish. You fucking muppet. Emotional historian. Sure. Yeah, well, I'm still serious about interviewing the guy who did Search of Hannibal comic.
Oh, really? Did you
I figured that if he's like backing our campaign, might as well reach out to him, see if he wants to do like an interview or something. I don't know if it would be better as like a live stream or like just its own video type thing. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, that was a comic campaign from way back in the day. That was a pretty big deal. And yeah, it just got the script how long ago for that comic? That poor artist.
Oh man, yeah. So that campaign, I think, was like 2015, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, if you guys think you've been waiting long for your comics, boy, do we have a story for you.
No, I feel like that campaign, I really feel like it was older, but like the estimated delivery date was 2015 or 16 or something. But I really feel like I remember that campaign being much older.
I mean, we can definitely look it up. It's on here together.
Oh, it's on Kickstarter.
Oh, it's on Kickstarter. My bad. I mean, still, regardless, it's on the internet.
Yeah.
Look up the Kick. Searchy worchy. Search. What's that noise? Alrighty. There we go. This was it. Smile Titans Publishing. That's a lot of money raised. Over 3,000 backers.
I'm one of them.
You know, in comparison, we currently have like 78 backers. So it's a big deal. I don't suppose last updated was this year, but I don't suppose it tells you when it launched.
So they've estimated delivery date 2017, but I thought the campaign was older than that.
It might have been 15, like you said before.
I remember it. I honestly thought it was like 2011 or like 2012 or something.
I bet the comments are angry.
Because this campaign is how
Oof. It is quite the delay. I'll give him that. Let me see when the first update was. Maybe that'll give us some idea to how old this campaign is at this point.
But there might have been a big gap before an update came out.
Sure.
You know?
Normally people want to do an update.
Because this campaign was the first time.
Wow, thank you. So this is a thanks for reaching the goal, I suppose. And that was in 2016.
Okay. So it's not as old as I thought. I thought it was literally a decade, but it's 7 years.
It's a very long time for a comic book, though. I gotta say, for those of you complaining about EBS, this comic took 7 years. People, people are like, oh my god, this guy's comic campaign is taking like 3 years. It's like, it could be worse. It could always be worse.
You were working on like Sonic City Witch or whatever, like working on the script writer. I was like, listen, at least you're not Lindy Page taking 7 fucking years
to give a guy a script.
I tell it to Trisha like a horror story, like the flashlight under the chin, and then like, and I showed Trisha a video where he was like, I have like 90% of the script, and she's like, oh guys, still doesn't have it all.
You would think after 7 years.
It's like someone going into the basement in a horror movie. Like, Trisha's like,
No!
God, just finish the script.
It is pretty funny.
That was because this campaign was the first time I saw Sargon of Akkad, because they streamed together, and then and I feel like I would have watched him in maybe even high school, and certainly in college, because like, you get into college and like the main like area of study is going to be like woke stuff or whatever. So like, in order to understand it, you kind of need some like secondary sources.
Yeah,
to like
a second opinion on some of these things that they say you're not allowed to critique or think twice about.
Yeah.
Well appreciated.
But
this existed when Sargon streamed? God, this is ancient.
I guess so.
Does he not stream anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I tend to try and like not watch too much like political content, because like it's stuff you can't really change. So I occasionally will like check in when it's something sort of interesting, like, or I try to look more at like more like upbeat sources for like information, because like sometimes it's like real depressing. Just, don't wanna.
I would say so. Yeah, it's like the old saying, don't stress out over things you can't do anything about or can't change. It's just like focus on what you can fix in your life.
Yeah, like I guess like Arch Warhammer has a kind of a jovial take on things. He's like more optimistic about stuff. But
optimism helps.
Yeah. Although I guess I haven't watched Sargon in a long time, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only ever like heard Sargon when you had him on in the background. So
yeah,
that was like basically my only exposure. But I don't think Sargon streams on his own channel anymore. He's got his own podcast and family, so his focus is kind of everywhere else.
Oh yeah, he has his own like website and stuff.
Oh, that's nice. I
think
guess
it's the Lotus Eaters or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever works, right? Whew. But yeah, compared to like our campaign here, I can assure you it's not going to take 7 years. We're basically almost done the comic already, and we still have like 27 days left on the campaign, and we're not going to have thousands of backers crying. Oh
my god.
But don't worry, guys.
That's such a horror story, because that guy, he did that campaign right at kind of the start of like comics being big on like Indiegogo and Kickstarter and stuff. Like this was pre-Comicsgate, right?
I guess so.
So like he could have, the thing I think is a shame is that he's like he's a very talented like artist, but he hasn't done another crowdfunding campaign, and I think he feels like imprisoned by it, because like he's gotten so many backers and so many people want the comic. And so he'll talk in videos like, hey, I've had to take other work. I had to survive. And it's
right.
It's like he looks like he's afraid that people are going to criticize him for doing other work in between. But it's like,
it's not his fault though.
Yeah.
It's not like he's the slow one or that he's procrastinating.
He literally doesn't have a script to work with.
Yeah, he doesn't have any work to do. So it's like, what else can you do in that situation?
So, but he could have been doing like a bunch of comic campaigns, like you know, up until now, you know, finding success and stuff. But it's like, you know.
Right. You gotta do what you can. I think it's only annoying when like someone launches a comic campaign, right? And then before they finish their first campaign, they move on to the next one. And they're not even like done with the script or any of the essentials of the first campaign. It's like, oh God, what are you doing? How did you think this was going to turn out well? But some people just are kind of impulsive like that. I've mentioned it before, but I wouldn't have even started a comic campaign if I didn't have the bare minimum of a script ready. That just sounds crazy. But whatever, you know, I'm sure it'll be good when you get it.
I don't even know. I don't even know if I'll ever get it.
I mean, he said he's working on it, right? So
yeah,
he's got the script. He's showing new pages on his Instagram.
You know, like 7 years later, you might want to check. Like they should be sending out emails to ask people if they still live the address they listed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Because that's quite a while.
Yeah.
It's also probably going to be a while still before it comes out. You know, like if it.
Well, yeah. Once it gets into the printers, but I'm sure that they'll like be keeping you updated on all that. Also, that'll be like such a fun post when he's like, "I'm all done the art. It's out of my hands now."
I was like, I don't know. Like I love Lindy Pages' videos, but it's just so funny that he like took that long. He had an update video. He's like, oh, people are asking like why it's taking so long. Some have referred to my my work speed as glacial. It's like, oh
jeez, that's not good, man. Oh God.
I think I don't know. I mean, he's super nice though. Like I emailed him years and years ago.
Your comic like... hands over to dead body. You make sure people are still alive. You're shipping a comic to people who have died in the past 7 years.
You have to ask the next of kin who gets it. The lawyer's like reading the will, and he's like,
it doesn't mention anything.
He's also, I got the In Search of Hannibal book. Does anyone want this?
Yeah, you better start writing in your wills. If I die, bury me with the Search of Hannibal.
Oh man.
That is pretty funny. But yeah.
Poor guy.
I can to some extent sympathize, but at the same time, my God.
Imagine, like, you know how so many people have that nightmare where they wake up and like they signed up for a class and they didn't go at all the whole semester and they're failing it, or they went the first day and they just totally forgot that they had that class, and just week after week just slipped through, they forgot about the class.
Yeah.
It's like that nightmare, except you wake up and it's like, oh my God, I was supposed to do that campaign 7 years ago.
I completely forgot for 7 years.
One of the campaign updates was like Lindy Pages' crazed notes that like Steiniger like scanned. He's like, I swear he's working on it. Look. And it's like these like
shaking leg is shaking the whole camera.
It's added effect. He sent us like an update, like just like these like crazed like notes like all over this like sheet of crinkled paper, and it's like, don't worry guys, he's working on it. It's like, okay.
Progress is being made. Trust me, we have these crazed notes with all these like red lines and circles and check marks. Oh, we'll throw his comic into coffin, yeah. Basically. But oh yeah, don't you worry about this one. This one is set to be printed basically basically as soon as the campaign finishes. finishes.
Yeah. Like a couple days, really. I want to... all the dialogue is fine, right? But I want to go over it more to make it like better, more like concise, and like just make the wordings a little bit better because we have time. So
yes, I also want to give it to beta readers to get their opinions on it. Always, as I've said before, always pass it off to other people to get some objective opinions.
You know what the no friends version of that is? Read it upside down. Because like when you read stuff upside right, you'll autocorrect your own mistakes. But if it's upside down, sometimes because you're having to like relearn how to like look at it.
That sounds like a very slow way.
Yeah.
Of like correcting your mistakes.
I learned that in a writing workshop one time. I don't know if it's actually true because I would never waste my time doing that. But
also, your writing workshop was not super great.
I've gone to a lot. It'd be hard to say. Hard to say like good. Or bad.
Have you ever? Yeah, I was about to say. Follow up. Has anyone ever been to a good writing workshop?
I've been to writing workshops where there were like good people in them, and you're basically kind of like writing your draft or your short story or something, waiting for their feedback. You know, so you're kind of it almost makes more sense just to send it to them.
Basically,
like John was in one of my writing workshops, and he was like the only one who gave actual feedback, and so I would like literally sit up in my chair. I'd be like kind of like slouched, and then when he started talking, I'd like sit up and like I turn to a new page of notes that's like only the notes that's like the notes that are more important to pay attention to than like the other stuff. Because like, you know, some people just have stupid feedback. It's like because you get a grade for, well, depending on if you're taking. I've gone to writing workshops outside of school, in school. To be fair, the worst writing workshop I went to was outside of school.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think it would be like your college.
Yeah, you'd think, but it was like, yeah, it was just like sad, middle-aged plus, like even older. Some of them women who like wanted to write a story that would be adapted into a Hallmark movie, which is like a very common fantasy. People of that age category.
Can you plug that in?
What?
The charger. It's a big fat plug. Yeah, plug that in. I'm just looking down at the battery and I'm like, oh, I see. I didn't actually plug my laptop in.
Yeah.
And it is slowly dying as we're streaming.
But like women of that age category have like read Treading Water, and then they'll go like, oh, you shouldn't really send this to Hallmark. And it's like,
yay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Or like someone was even like, why are you wasting your time writing a book? You should be writing screenplays so you can make millions of dollars in movie deals.
It's it's so easy. It's so easy to get jobs.
I don't even know that people who actually get a screenplay made into a movie make that much money. Like they buy them in bulk.
I have heard some people say that they get like royalties from like movies.
Some companies
they did like really good.
Yeah, but some companies just buy scripts like in bulk and for like a couple $100. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, we need a movie. Go into the archives and like go through the slush pile of like garbage scripts that like some idiot bought and like see if you can make a movie out of it.
Amen. To be fair, if Hallmark approached me and was like, I need you to make a super wholesome Hallmark movie, I could do it.
Oh yeah,
I could do it easy.
That'd be wonderful.
That would be great. I would love the experience of doing that. But not, I wouldn't, most of my comics, I wouldn't look at them and think, this would be a great Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
That's not exactly the right fitting image for everything, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I remember I was at one workshop and there was like the person leading the workshop handed out this like this like 1 page of a story, and so I immediately, like assuming that we're supposed to be like practicing like marking up a story, I just like click my pen and just start marking like all the obvious like stuff that's like bad, right? I'm just like underlining stuff and then like circling sentences or like awkward wording, just like all the regular stuff. I'm like penning it up like crazy. It was like very, very, and I was like thinking in my head, I was like, oh man, I probably look like a really like good editor, but it's just like there's so much obvious stuff, So then I was like, well, maybe it's a trick thing. Maybe I should go back and read the beginning. Maybe there's something like more obvious at the beginning that she's like, oh, you should read carefully or something. And then she's like, oh, this is my piece. It's going to be in my next, in my first ever book. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this shouldn't go to print for sure. But like she was going through what she considers to be like a real publisher and like has a literary agent and an editor and this is done.
And then
apparently.
She became a New York Times bestselling author and then wrote for DCYA.
It's just like,
yeah, that's how it works.
It was like
circle of life.
It was very bad. Like it was very bad. Like it was just like very difficult to read through. Like sentences just like it's almost like the style was like shifting sentence to sentence or something. Like, it was just weird. Like it wasn't an easy read. And then like everybody in the class was also, there was one woman who was like much more skilled than the others, but still not at like a level that she would need to be. And then like even the person running the class had an issue with criticism. Like she thought about criticism in the wrong way, which is why she's so bad, I'm assuming. Because they were writing a kid's book, like I guess YA, actually, ironically. And one of the characters just like starts talking to God, but it's never mentioned in any of the other stuff that she showed us that they're religious or they just don't talk about it. So it just comes off strange that it's all of a sudden they're praying. And then she's like, oh, well, my like 5-year-old prays. And it's like, yeah, this is a high school kid. So it's not like it's bad, but I'm just saying like, you haven't set this up. And this is like, it just comes out of nowhere where she starts to talk to God and like, and it's like, you need to like set that up because it's unusual, right? Like it's not super common that like kids that age would pray and like, I don't know. It's not that the character can't, it's just that it's, you should set it up more. And the teacher was like, I don't think that's true. Like people pray. And I was like, okay, but I'm like much closer to this age group. I'm like just getting into college. I was a high schooler a lot sooner than you guys. I'm telling you, this is how it is. She's like, no. It's like, okay, it's just, but yeah.
I still remember that one story that you told me that I still think it's funny when you were like passing around one of your short stories from Leaves of the World Tree. And it was a medieval story. And one of the criticisms was, this is such a ripoff of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because they were having a duel.
Any
knights dueling, it's the same thing as Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there's a story in my book of short stories about like 2 knights dueling, and like I don't know, they said it and I thought it was a joke because they said it very aggressively and like seriously, so I thought they were doing some dry humor bit or whatever. And so I laughed, but I think they were really trying to be mean, and I don't know. I think it's a much safer play if you're going to be mean to someone to play it off like it's a joke, because if it doesn't work or hurt their feelings, all of a sudden you're turning as red as that guy, and it's just like I don't know. It was, and I always take critique seriously, and like no matter who it's coming from, I pride myself on having a good filter of like what's bad critique and not worth listening to, and what's good critique, and not letting critiques like bother me. But it's like you always have to, like, your job as a writer is going to be to take critique and sort it into, piles of like.
What I usually say is you don't have to like follow anyone's advice on what to do with your story. Just like take into consideration why it made them feel whatever way that they felt.
And with anything, any solution to any problem can start more problems. So like fixing one person's problem that it's too much, like Game of Thrones, you could cause other problems at other spots. So it's like you can't just. It's not like someone's finding a new problem. It's like, oh, thank God they found the problem. Now I'll fix.
Well, in this case, why she felt the way that she did, I think, would be because she never was exposed to many medieval fantasy things, and only has ever seen Game of Thrones, and therefore thought anything relating to fantasy was a Game of Thrones ripoff. Yeah. If I were to make a guess.
It was a dude, too.
Oh, it was a girl? It was a dude.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, the first time you told me the story, I thought it was a girl.
No, I've had critiques from all sorts, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember the person leading that really bad workshop. She had a critique about my story, and she had a like very shit-eating grin about it. And I just thought, like, wow, you are so unqualified to run this workshop. Like, it was just like, because she's so excited that she found something wrong, and she was like rubbing it in my face. And it's like, and I explained to her, I was like, well, I came here to get critique. Like, I like said that to her because it was a weird interaction. Like, and I was like, I came here for critique. Thank you. Is there anything else though? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay, because I'm paying to be here. Like, it's not like I came here and paid you to compliment me. Like I'm like looking for insight,
Yeah. And that's how it goes. So yeah, once again, I'll plug our comic campaign. Consider backing it if you haven't already. Consider sharing it around if you can find other friends who would like to back the campaign, or other people who are interested in fantasy party quests and whatnot. I think you would enjoy it. What are you reading?
No, just the comments are funny.
Which?
Oh, was a dude. Dude looks like a lady. And this was the other thing that was weird.
A dude with no exposure to, yeah, right.
I don't know. I guess I just went into college assuming people were like kind of like me, and I was like, this guy really thinks that two knights having a duel came from Game of Thrones. It's like,
it's really weird. It struck me as like one of the most bizarre critiques ever to have.
And then his like coup de grace was like, well, one of them is tall, and I was like, okay,
got him.
All right. It's like, I would have. I think a much more like apt critique of that story is that it's kind of, in a sense, a bit generic. Like, it's not. It's not like Game of Thrones at all. It's like the opposite critique of being like, I don't know, more kind of like nothing. Maybe is like I don't know. Whatever. It's hard to explain, but
yeah, I still remember, like, I think it was maybe the first announcement of like Sonic City Witch. One of the complaints was like, oh, it's just like Ghost in the Shell. And I'm like thinking to myself, I didn't know Ghost in the Shell had witches in it. Maybe I should go watch that anime. But yeah, it's very odd sometimes.
The motorcycle, I think she had a regular motorcycle. Because you had her on like a bike with one wheel.
Right? One of the like the two twin witches were on the wheelie bikes.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, that's not in Ghost of the Shell at all. I don't think.
No.
Could be wrong.
A lot of people were saying that the police officer, Officer Mira, she looked like the main character from Ghost in the Shell. But
she's got what's that kind of bob called? Where it's like
it's a bob cut.
No, but there's a when you have it like at an angle.
Correct.
But that's a different kind of bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just a kind of a normal cyberpunk haircut, and I didn't want to do a cyberpunk haircut with the shaved sides or anything, so my bad.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just one of those things where sometimes people aren't exposed to a lot of a genre, and so they'll connect your story with the only other thing that they've ever seen that's similar to it. People who haven't seen a lot of cyberpunk stuff will look at my comic and be like, oh, it's just like Ghost in the Shell. People who haven't seen a lot of fantasy will look at some of your books and be like, oh, it's just like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, someone
and those
saying,
aren't like really good critiques.
Someone was saying Lord of the Rings is ripping off Harry Potter, and it's like,
oh God. That's
yeah, it's
that's really dumb.
It's always because I think there's a lot of people who are big fans of Harry Potter who have no exposure to fantasy, and so they think that all the stuff in Harry Potter is like fresh and new and special and unique.
There are some like fresh things in Harry Potter, but yeah, not everything.
Yeah, I remember talking to someone being like, "Well, what do you think is original in Harry Potter?" And then they were like, well, the Horcruxes, like no one could have thought of that. And I was like,
yeah, that's not.
And that's just like that's a lich.
Yeah,
it's just a lich's phylactery. And then like it's kind of an interesting take on a lich's phylactery that they could divide their soul up, but it's not. And there's that's a fine take on like a phylactery. It's interesting, but it's not to say it's unique and that other people who have phylacteries are stealing is like quite goofy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, it's good to, if you want to be a critic or a reviewer or an editor, it's good to, like, indulge in a lot of media so that you can kind of know a little bit more what you're talking about, especially for the genre that you're reviewing.
Yeah.
I read a lot of manga to the point where like a lot of manga starts blending together and I start seeing the same old tropes and cliches and the same old problems of like editors creeping into their influence, making the manga way longer than it should be, etc., etc. But Anyway, do you want to wrap up the stream soon?
Sure. Oh, it's also speaking of someone mentioned TV tropes.
Yeah.
People would cite TV tropes as like a source for like essays in college.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. And they would like allow that?
I don't know.
I remember the big thing about essays in high school, and I guess in college too. We weren't allowed to use Wikipedia. We could look on Wikipedia. We'd have to go to the sources to find the original source, which is not a bad thing to train in people. Yeah. Nowadays, they just let you use Wikipedia. Nowadays, they don't care. That's what I heard anyway.
Yeah.
It might be different from school to school, but the school that I went to now allows you to use like Wikipedia as a source.
It's such a bad instinct. Like people were like, ha ha ha, Wikipedia, everything is not true because you can just edit anything you want. It's like, it's not true. It's like,
I mean, you can.
Yeah, but like usually it doesn't get approved. Like someone's gonna like go look at it. It needs to like someone else needs to like go look at it.
There are definitely a lot of hot takes on Wikipedia that I've browsed through and been like, okay, I don't know about that. And then I look at the source and it's bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of like politics that got onto Wikipedia now.
Especially, there are definitely a few things that just don't have a source, but they just allow it to be on there anyway.
Yeah, but like the idea that you could have something that's like very silly, like ha ha ha, the moon is made out of cheese. It's like someone else would have to also approve it.
So you could just get like a, if all of you are crazy.
Yeah, well, you could have political stuff, but to have stuff that's just like blatantly false is unlikely. Although Wikipedia is also like subject to like highly propagated information because people just start using like articles as sources. Articles aren't sources. So
Wikipedia is totally biased. Very true. Very true.
Also, it's very difficult to get academic papers written about that are like dissenting from the whole conversation about gay racism, whatever. Because to write an academic paper, you need to have secondary sources, and the only sources you can take from are like the ones that are already writing about gay stuff. And I remember like talking to my advisors and teachers and stuff. I was like, well, what do I do if I don't want to write about how stuff is homophobic, racist, or whatever, or sexist? And the teacher had none of them had any answer for me. They were like, it's like so you can't write about anything else. So all papers have to say that, and then if you want a good grade, you have to agree with that, right? So that's why there's so many papers that like talk about that stuff. But like, you know, oftentimes, and then there's like also a push to like make stuff not need sources. Like
feelings over fact.
Yeah. So like for example, like there's no source for slave owners raping slaves in the US. There's no source for it. It's just that's so common, quote unquote, that's like supposed to be accepted fact, and you shouldn't need a source for it. And if you need a source, you're a bigot. And so like you could see where that idea gets expanded to other stuff. Yeah. So there's no primary sources in a lot of these like articles. And man, I had to read through so many looking for anything I could respond to because I needed a secondary source, because primary sources aren't as important, and like it's looked down on if you have more primary sources than secondary sources. It affects your grade. You get a lower grade if you have too many primary sources. They want only secondary sources, and by secondary sources they mean sources that follow their politics, because that's the only ones that are in their systems. And then the schools will share with other schools, but they'll only share secondary sources amongst schools that agree with their politics. So like my school only had other super liberal schools, so you can't expand to like anything else. You can, however, cite TV tropes. Thank God. Otherwise, where would academia be?
Yeah, well, there's your current state of liberal arts schools. But we'll see you guys next time. Next video coming out, I guess, Monday.
Wait, we shouldn't end it on bummer stuff. We should talk about something happy.
We might do a game stream also. What do you feel?
Sure. We can do a game stream. Okay. I'm just like
I'm asking you.
I'm just trying to think of something happy really quick.
We have happy stories. We talk about them all the time. Adam found an old picture of me while he was going through the folders, and it's of like our little den back when it was a bit unorganized.
It's a stupid story.
And he didn't have like a full desk, so I had the keyboard in my lap and I had the mouse over.
No, it's
and he's like, story. I want to frame this.
Shut up. You're such a bitch. Why do you say that?
Because it's a happy story.
No, you're butchering it. It's like,
fine, you tell the story.
I don't want to tell the story. It's personal.
No.
It's stupid. God. It's just like it is happy, but it's like, no, I'm not telling this story.
Okay.
It's private. You
tell a non-private happy story.
Well, I'll do my go-to, I guess. So I went to my comic and games store, right? And there's this guy at the counter who's checking out, and he's in a real good mood, right? And he's really high spirits, right? He's high on life. He's so happy. And then he's got this big stack of Warhammer boxes that he's buying, right? So like the guy's tall and he's like looking over the stack, right? It's a lot of goddamn boxes. And he's in such a good mood. And then he's chatting with the owner, and then the owner is like, he tells him the total, and he's like embarrassed. He's like guilty telling him the total, and he's like, it'll be a 632, you know.
Got it.
And I was like $632. Holy shit. And then he's like, you betcha. And like takes out his credit card and like taps it on the counter and like hands it over, like super, super happy. And then he runs the credit card and stuff. He's like, oh, wait, you got to sign this. You got to sign this because that's so much money that they might ask about it. And then he just like walks out of the store whistling. And I was like, what's with that guy? I was like, is that $600? He's like, oh yeah, that guy's got himself a quite the item. And I was like, what? And like, I was like, do you mean like object item? And so apparently his girlfriend wanted to be more of a part of his hobbies, but not like too much a part of his hobbies, like give him his like own like thing to go do, which was playing the game. But then he was like, oh, well, maybe you could try painting the figures with me. And so she was instantly way better than him, like just like
she's got the magic touch,
because I guess she did art or something like that. But she was like really enjoying it. And then they were watching like tutorials on how to paint it more complex stuff, and she's like, and so they spent the whole weekend just like snuggled up together on the couch painting minis and just putting them to dry on every surface.
Painting minis and chill.
Yeah, just painting minis and setting them to dry on like every surface all around the house. They're just like everywhere that they could put something to go dry. And they ran out of his whole army that they painted over the weekend, plus all these miscellaneous things. So he ran out of minis completely. And then like Sunday night, his girlfriend was like, could you maybe get some more? And he's like, yes, I can. And then he went straight to the store to
anything for you, my darling.
Yeah. Can I spend more money on Warhammer?
Oh my.
Oh boy. Oh golly gee, yes I can. And
that is a nice story. Well, there you go. There's your happy story. And we'll close out the stream for the night.
Final refresh.
Oh, sure.
I probably won't change, but it's always exciting.
Always exciting. So let's do one final refresh before the stream ends. And we'll give you all a nice Good Friday, good night.
78 backers. Awesome.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me.
We'll see you maybe on the Game Fans or maybe next Friday. So have a good night, everyone. Have a good Friday. And bye.